Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host, Paul, joined once more by our editor, researcher, and all-round great guy, Matt, to talk about Wonder Man. Now, this was one of those shows I didn't think was going to be very good. We've kind of been burned in the past. We obviously used to cover all the Marvel shows, and then it kind of hit a point where it was like, this one isn't that good. I don't enjoy doing this every week. And when they announced that Wonder Man was going to be dropped all 8 episodes at once, I think they filmed this like 2 or 3 years ago as well, and the signs were there. It wasn't going to be good, but I'm happy to say I really enjoyed it. Matt, what were your thoughts from it?
I was really surprised at how much I actually liked it. I liked the whole. I was I think I was probably the only person who liked the Trevor Slattery thing in Iron Man 3. I thought it was really funny.
I did as well, actually. I don't know if it's a British thing, but
yeah, it might be,
didn't mind it. Didn't mind it.
I liked that, and I liked the guy who played obviously Wonder Man in this. I thought he was really good in Aquaman. Thought he was the best of an average pair of movies. So I thought it would be okay, but obviously you mentioned we've been burned in the past. But I was surprised just how competent it was, and it was really kind of gripping. I think I watched the first half of it in one, put the kid to bed, watched the first half, and then watched it, and then I was surprised by the very special episode. I'm not really sure what you usually call it, the black and white Doorman one. I was like, what? How have they just not? I think you tweeted about how they don't know what they're making, if it's good or not, because they just dumped this onto streaming, and it was just so much fun. It was like just a complete joy to watch of it. And the buddy comedy romance, the guy from Damage Control, just an absolute blast watching it.
Yeah, I really did enjoy it. It took a while to get going, I think, but by episode 4, that bottle episode with the Doorman,
I
thought it was absolutely fantastic. And then throughout it, you kind of get attached to people. I mean, I kind of want to go through it like episode by episode and just kind of talk about the characters and what we kind of took from it. So we begin with Simon Williams. He's having like pretty much a bad day. He's starting off with, he gets fired from the set of American Horror Story for basically going very in depth on the character. I mean, when he first starts the scene, it seems like it's just a couple of lines, and then he gets bitten and killed, and then he starts adding in like, well, what if they knew each other? And it's like, well, what? And then next, they don't tell you how long it's been, but it's been a long part of the day, I think, and it just hits a point where they're like, come on, get out of here. And then he goes home, and his girlfriend's moving out, and she thought he'd be at the shoot all day, so wanted to do it behind his back. It's just what he's basically starting off with what I call like the Spider-Man thing, which is where like Spider-Man 2, for example, you start off with a pizza thing, he gets fired, then there's just scene after scene where he's like getting evicted and stuff like that. And it's quite a good place to join the character at, I feel. And then he kind of runs into Trevor Slattery randomly, it seems, at first, but we learn over the course of the episodes that, there's stuff going on there. And they do kind of drop the hints in that there's like a doorman clause, and he gets an audition. And I think it's quite a strong start. What were your thoughts on the first episode?
Well, I loved the corporate synergy of them doing the whole Hulu, the kind of like the American Horror Story effects thing. Because I'm a huge AHS head myself. So it was really fun to watch that. And I love the fact that he's just this dude who just dies. Like, what's my motivation? It's very funny because in the media, you've had Jeremy Strong, who kind of got called out by, I've completely forgotten the dude's name who plays his dad in Succession. And he was like, what are you doing with the method acting and all that? And I thought that was really funny. The meta commentary in it is hilarious, especially when we get to the Doorman episode and the fatigue. But I just thought it was a great watch. And the guy who plays Simon Williams, you really root for him. You really want him to do well because he wants to just make the best kind of acting performance that he can. And you really want him to survive, and then you see him with the movies. It kind of like, it really reminded me of like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where he goes to the cinema, like Margot Robbie's character Sharon Tate, when she goes to the cinema, sees herself on the big screen and all that. It's very much that same sort of vibe. And I thought it was like you said, it does take a while to get going, but because of the characters, I can forgive the pacing, because not really a lot happens in the whole show. I think I did a TikTok review and I said like, oh, it could have been a movie. They could have put it into a movie. Could have cut it down, but I thought they did a good job with it, and you really get into it, and you really, really see how much they care with it.
Yeah, I think like with this stuff, obviously, for us, I've always been of the mindset that you should release a show weekly because it keeps the conversation going. And
No, I
obviously
agree.
for us as well, we can cover it a lot easier. The reason we didn't cover the show in a big breakdown was because we had like a massive Fallout video dropping and a massive Night of the Seven Kingdoms video dropping and an In the Mouth of the Madness video dropping as well, which were like three massive projects. So 8 episodes was just way too much to cover. But I think it did work best as a binge, I will say.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Daredevil. Yeah, Daredevil's 8 weeks away now, so I do wonder if they did initially plan to do it weekly, because it would obviously leave it so people are constantly subscribed to Disney Plus instead of like having this project and then unsubscribing and then subscribing again. But I think it worked great as a binge. I mean, me and my wife just stormed straight through it, and she's not massively into this comic book stuff. She's been really skipping the Disney Plus stuff, but she's hooked on this show. She absolutely. I've actually watched ahead of her to get this review out, but yeah, she really really enjoys it. And I think Yahya Abdul Mateen, I'm gonna fuck his name up. Yahya Abdul Mateen II. I thought he was fantastic in Watchmen. I really, really enjoy that show. I know people hate it, but I think it's
No, I loved
brilliant.
it.
I think it's one of the best comic book shows out there. I think he's matched really well with Trevor Slattery as well. And Ben Kingsley, he's kind of doing like a Scouse accent. But just seeing the complexity he brings as well, and that's kind of where we start to learn the burden that's on his shoulder. What I like about this series is that Simon Williams is hiding that he's got superpowers and he's got that burden, but Trevor's also hiding the fact that he's spying on him. So you've got these characters who can't really be themselves around each other fully, and they do kind of talk about identity quite a lot throughout the series. Now, episode 2, Self-Tape, starts off with Trevor on a plane chatting a woman's ear off, like talking about acting and stuff, and then gets tackled by the FBI. And we learn that because basically the Mandarin broke him out of prison. This is how I took it. The Mandarin broke him out of prison so that he was in prison in Shang-Chi at his house, and because of that he didn't serve all of his sentence. So if that's wrong, correct me below, but yeah, we kind of see that, and he's basically been hired by Cleary from Damage Control to spy on Simon, and then they go to Joe Pantoliano's house, which was a bit meta. It pays off really well down the line,
Yeah.
this joke. But yeah, obviously that, he was in the Matrix. Yeah, Abdul Mateen was in the Matrix Resurrections. I think I always get the titles confused. It is Resurrections, but
Yeah, I'm pretty
in
sure
my
it's
head they're like
Resurrections.
Reloaded. Yeah, Revolutions, Resurrection. But yeah, they go to his place and they get, I think what the next bit that happens is that the next big piece is like they have the mother's birthday party where we meet his family, and kind of I just love the way Trevor's like constantly leaning in with the mic.
Yeah.
So what did you think of like Simon's journey up until this point with his mother, where you kind of see how his brother's like always fucking clearly doesn't like him that much and always giving him a hard time?
No, I thought it was really good. I like the whole fact that is this the one where I think this one had the doctors where it had him being checked over and they had the fire and all that. I thought that was really good. He's got that guilt of maybe did he cause it and that with his powers. Because they never actually explain where he got his powers from here, I don't think,
Yeah.
in it. But
I just took it as being a mutation, and I've realized we've totally skipped over the opening cinema scene with him and his dad, where they're kind of watching that old Wonder Man movie.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
very, very Star Trekky. I thought that was a great way to kind
I
of,
loved it. I thought it was
yeah,
so good, that bit. It was just fantastic to show that reboot.
yeah. And they used like the monologue. Well, the dialogue that he says in that is kind of like a constant piece of dialogue that appears throughout the season, where
Yeah.
he's using that. Yeah, I thought that was really well put together.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I really liked that episode with him I think the main issue I had with this show was like you had Shang-Chi, you have the new kind of Shang-Chi's sister took over, and then you're just like, well, I can't imagine she's happy that he's going to be at the end. They never really he doesn't say, oh yeah, I went to this secret pocket universe. I think there's pocket dimension, I believe, in
Right.
the show.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm kind of getting my head around. I binged it all in one go, kind of in 2 goes. But I really like the whole family aspect. It kind of really does feel like a sitcom-y sort of thing. It's completely unlike anything I think the MCU is maybe a bit closer to perhaps Miss Marvel with the damage control and the family, but by the Marvels, Kamala the Khans really just did my head in. They were there the whole time. But I thought this was really fun. It really was fun seeing his characterization, and like you said, seeing Trevor Slattery at the party. He's someone who can just talk to anyone and things like that. I thought he's just. I mean, it's Ben Kingsley, he's an Oscar winner. Seeing him in this is just really funny to see him play that role, and the
Yeah.
brother as well. It's kind of like the survivor's guilt, kind of not.
Yeah.
He's his Simon just wants to follow in the footsteps of that moment he had with his father. That's how he's processing his grief, so to speak. So I really did enjoy that, and I think that the characterization of this was really, really good.
Yeah, I loved the actress who played his mother as well. They have a scene in the kitchen where she talks about how he didn't really have any friends.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see Trevor's like really torn up that he's having to spy on basically this wounded puppy. And it gets to a point where he says he steps out of the car when they're going home and he snaps the recording. And then they get the call back, which is the big thing. And then the next episode is the Doorman episode, which it kind of starts off with like a totally new character. You've got no idea what's going on, what the context is. And you slowly see his rise and fall. And it basically becomes like a cautionary tale of the life that Simon wants and the burden that powers can bring, and how it basically explains why Simon's having to hide his powers, because there's so many things. He could be exploited, or they might become a gimmick and people will like run him into the ground and he wants to be taken seriously as an actor. But I thought the Doorman episode was so well put together. I really, really thought it was a fantastic. I think like standalone episodes, it's one of the best, if not the best thing that Marvel's done on Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Discounting maybe the low-key season 2 finale, which I really, really enjoy. But there's lots of there's lots of things in it. It's got great moments of humor. It's got body horror in it, and it's just like meta commentary on like even superhero fatigue and how people get worn out by like the same thing over and over. And then I love the reveal at the end when we pull out and we see like Simon's watching the news report about the Doorman claws, and then he walks out of a door, and you kind of like don't know what he's going on to next, but just thought it was a fantastic episode. This just explains why he's having to hide who he is. Yeah, throughout the season, like Trevor's looked at the big crack in his wall and he's just kind of stood there, and then Trevor's just been like, well, come on. And it's just like, oh yeah, he just thinks it's like a normal crack in the wall. So good. But yeah, what did you think of that episode?
I was very surprised with it. I thought my TV was on the fritz a little bit, because it's all in black and white, and I really like Werewolf by Night. It's one of my favorite things post Endgame. It's probably one of the best things up there with Shang-Chi that they've done, and never had anything to do with it again for some reason.
Right.
But this was really good. It was really felt almost like Black Mirror in a way. In that sort of thing, where he got his powers. Josh Gad, absolutely hilarious. When the drop hit, he's like singing. Well, I think it was either in summer or whatever, and I was like, that's fantastic. What a way to put, again, it's the corporate synergy. It's working in our favor with Josh Gad and Frozen, and I think the whole kind of entourage thing was good. Very much remind me of Entourage, one of my favorite shows, and I think that it is a good kind of take on what you want. I did think the bar woman was Mephisto at some point, where he meets her and she's like, is this what you've always wanted? And I was like, oh, that's going to turn into Sacha Baron Cohen, and then it's going to turn out he made a deal or whatever. It's not Pandemic anymore. We're not talking about Mephisto. We're not
series. Make a video.
Yeah.
I will get her in a thumbnail with Mephisto in a circle pointing at her.
Yeah, I did wonder. I was like, is this going to be like a bargain? Did you see the film Enchanted with? Was he with
Bedazzled?
Dazzled,
Bedazzled. Oh mate, I fucking love Elizabeth Hurley.
I know,
especially in those years. Fucking hell, that was defining moments for me. Those films.
I thought it was that because he goes to the club and I thought it was just a fantastic bottle episode. It really was kind of like you said. It is one of the best things. I think it was it only like 23 minutes or something? It was really short, I think.
Really, yeah.
Or something. I could be wrong. I remember watching it. I was like, this is short, but yeah, it's really good. But usually things like kind of like special episodes don't link into the show. It's kind of a lot of, I think with modern streaming, they kind of have their own story away, like with Stranger Things. They had the whole backdoor pilot, but this worked really well. Like you said, it has the Doorman clause, and it's a kind of it's showing the both sides of Simon Wilson, where his powers, his secret, and he wants to be the guy, he wants to be the actor, and that behind it. But yeah, it really was one of the best things in the MCU. And what I like about this show is that you could recommend it to people who don't really watch Marvel. Like you said, your wife doesn't watch the all the shows. Like my wife's also she's given up on the MCU. She just does not care.
Yeah.
I think post Endgame, she was like, "Yeah, I'm done with this." And there's so much homework. And my mum was like, "Oh, I want to watch Hawkeye." I'm like, "Oh, mum, it's not Jeremy Renner anymore," and she just lost interest. So
Right.
I think that it's good. You can recommend it to anyone who it's just a good show. It's just a good standalone show, which I think is good.
You're going to get so many comments about that Jeremy Renner thing. He's in like, what do you mean it's not Jeremy Renner anymore? It is him.
But isn't Kate Bishop?
Yeah, so the next episode's kind of like a caper episode, I would call it, where Trevor Slattery gets held up at gunpoint by some like people he owes money, basically, and then Simon comes into full effect, beats the shit out of them. This gets captured on video by someone going past with a GoPro, and then it becomes a case of like tracking this guy down and then doing a deal for him where he tries to go and force people to give him his motorbike back, but they turn out to be nice people. And it's a kind of a nothing episode. I think if we were doing this weekly, this is kind of when I realized like a binge is better for this show, because I think if this was, you were waiting a week and you got this, people would be like, where's the cameos, where's the Easter eggs? And it's just kind of like a nice fun episode. Yeah, there's kind of the tension throughout that he's got an audition, which is the next thing is the callback episode, which is episode 6, which I think is worth talking about quite in depth, because he basically just goes to Kovac's mansion, who's the director of Wonder Man, who's basically holding his fate in his hand, and they do just loads of auditions for like the whole episode, but some of them were so good. This is kind of like when it became sort of an episode of The Studio, I think, where it's kind of just all set in like quite a small location, nothing much happens, but that when he starts giving like the crazy director notes of like, you have no eyelashes and this is your wife, and you start thinking like, how the fuck are they going to do this? But then they do the scene where it's like, you love her but you hate her, and it's like, what the fuck? And they just improvise. It's so good. And just being, no, it's amazing. That was like acting masterclass, that episode. And it's just something that you don't see in a superhero project ever, and I just thought it was really well put together. So what are your thoughts on kind of the capery episode and the callback?
Yeah, I thought the catering one was really funny. You think they're going to go to like it's going to be big kind of drug bust, and they're just making sweets. That's just what they're making.
Yeah.
And it's just really funny, kind of the expectations and that. And you're right, it's a nothingy kind of episode, but the tension is like, it's brewing, and it's a really good way, a really kind of example of this kind of nothingy, but the tension in the background is building for him, because to him this callback is everything. It's the absolute world to get in the reboot that he watched with his dad, who kept him off school because he was being bullied. So with that, you just want him to succeed. And it is just really funny seeing them go into the club and the kid's like, yeah, I want my motorbike back. And the guy's just like, he's a chump.
Yeah.
He's just some chump dude. He's not, you think he's going to be like, I've completely forgot his name's in Breaking Bad.
Jesse.
No, you think he's going to be like, when they go to the house, you think he's going to be the guy who was in Far Cry 3 and all that.
Yeah.
You think he's going to be like that? Nah. It's just, it's really good. And it's kind of, you just punch in the air when they get out of there.
Yeah, really, really good.
The callback as well was absolutely hilarious. I sat up when they have the thing when he punches through his head. I was like, what?
Yeah, fucking hell. Yeah.
Okay, like, are we doing this? Is this where it's going to go? Yeah. Is he going to be kind of like on the run? But no, it was a dream. And was that the guy who played the president in Superman? I think he was the same guy.
Might have been.
Who Hawkgirl killed. Well, spoilers. But if you
shit, of course it was. Fucking hell. I've been thinking the whole time, who is that guy? Yeah, it is him. It's the guy from the fucking, I forgot what the country's called, but yeah, he was in Superman. And
I think it was really funny. And I do think that Disney did miss a beat by not putting the fake Wonder Man on streaming on Disney Plus. Like, you can have some fun with it. Great. You could put that on there. But yeah, I thought that scene that episode was really good. And you're right as well. People, if this was weekly, people would be like, what's going on? When's Daredevil going to turn up? People have their theories, their insight. Like, this isn't that kind of show. So I think that the binge model is perfect because it allows them to just not do that usual. I mean, we're guilty of it. It's what the channel is built on, but I think that it is nice to have that kind of break and have something that's completely different and more of a show, an actual kind of kind of real dramatized thing instead of just what they usually do. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think just it not really being superhero stuff was kind of exemplified in the next episode, which is called Kathy Friedman, and basically a New York Times journalist who profiles actors and stuff. She's got a very bad reputation for basically like tearing people down. She just comes along to set. And, you know, Simon's kind of very nervous and like trying to act normal, but she's constantly saying like, don't acknowledge me, just keep acting. So sorry, at this point in time as well, he's got the part as Wonder Man. And it's quite a like low key episode. You know, he just finds out that his brother's been interviewed. He's obviously worried about how he's going to come across, and he finds out his ex-girlfriend's been interviewed, and you kind of think like, oh, is she going to come back into the picture? And they just have a scene at the bar, and it's just very like low key, and she ends up leaving. And yeah, it's just very like toned down, and it's almost like a breath of fresh air at the end until she brings up the fact that Trevor, there's lots of questions around him and like how he managed to get out of jail and stuff, and that's when the penny starts to drop and Simon realizes that his friend's been spying on him. And it's just because it's kind of heartbreaking because you know this thing's going to come out at some point, and the further along they get in their friendship and the further along they get in their careers, you realize how heartbreaking this is going to be, because Simon even at this point has it where he's turning down job offers and certain opportunities because Simon's saying don't do it, and he really trusts him as like his confidant. Sorry, Trevor's saying don't do it. But yeah, it's just so devastating when they just have that talk in the caravan, and they're just like, and then he goes off, gets really mad, and just causes an explosion on the film set.
Yeah.
That you just think like, crap, he's going to get found out. This is the end of it. It's kind of the worst time possible. And yeah, absolutely devastating. Such a great episode. And a great season, like before the finale.
Yeah, the
pre-finale. Penultimate, yes, thank you. So what did you think of that episode?
I thought that was really good. I really kind of, at the end, you start it off, you think they're trying everything on. He's really nice. Like Simon's really nice to the dude who gets his food, and you think that finally they're gonna make it, but you know it's not gonna happen because damage control are there in the background looming. And I have always wanted a damage control show. Like when they first came in Homecoming, I thought it'd be really cool if they could just capture someone each week. I thought that's what She-Hulk would be, but no. But yeah, this one was really good. You're really happy. You're really thinking, yes, they've made it, but you just know it's not gonna go. And I thought that it'd be Simon who was kind of outed. She'll be like, oh,
yeah,
you had the fire. And then Trevor Slattery is exposed. Like, you are a terrorist.
Yeah.
It's really funny throughout the season. Everyone's like, oh, where do I know him from? Yeah, he was a terrorist. He was like, yeah, America must die and all that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was gutting seeing it because you know it's going to happen. You know he's not going to, like Trevor, the former Mandarin can't be in an MCU product.
Yeah.
So you know it's not going to happen. But it was like, again, like a studio episode or an Entourage episode, which was really fun to watch and so completely different. But yeah, it really was kind of a setting the stakes for the finale, which was completely different to everything that Marvel have put out.
Yeah, I mean, talking about the Mandarin, that's kind of where we start off. And Simon's kind of hiding, laying low, thinking about how he's going to have to basically come clean about destroying the entire studio. And then, Trevor just calls up and says he's got a solution. You're like, what the hell is going on here? And he's like, I'll make this right. I'll make this right. And he dresses up as the Mandarin again, and which was such a good moment.
Yeah.
And then puts on his voice, basically says he's been playing the country the whole time. He has been the Mandarin all along, and that he blew everything up to basically as an act of terrorism. But yeah, it's such a heroic moment where he takes the fall for Simon, because the entire series you're wondering like, how's Simon going to get out of this?
Yeah.
Because he's clearly being observed, and it just totally skipped my mind that he could adopt this persona of the Mandarin again and use it as a way to kind of like explain away Simon's powers. And I just love the way Trevor kind of, even with damage control, he's like, I fooled you. So good. Yeah. And obviously the movie goes off. He gets his costume and stuff. Everyone loves it. They're like, it's such a great hit. I don't normally do sequels, but this was And even like Joe Pantoliano appearing as Barbary or whatever he was called,
Yeah.
that was such a good moment and such a good payoff of earlier in the season. And yeah, I loved it where they went next with it, where you see him like with a. I don't know if I wasn't paying attention because basically I watched this at a garage today while I was waiting for my car to get fixed. I don't know if I was paying attention, but did they just skip into this completely new character that Simon was living with, or did they explain that he was working on a role? Because I thought that they kind of weaved it in
Yeah, I
and
think it
left
was
it
kind
as
of
a
implied.
surprise.
Yeah, I think it was implied that he's
Okay.
kind of been observing to for his role. I was like, what? Why is it? What's going on? But yeah, no, you're right. He was kind of just observing and method acting, kind of
Yeah, yeah.
to
But
watch
they
it.
didn't explain he was a damage control god, did they? Because
No, no,
right, cool, cool.
that
Yeah,
was the
so I
big
didn't miss it.
surprise.
Yeah, yeah,
Which it
cool.
looked weird. The damage control Supermax, I think it looked different. It kind
The
of looked.
cube.
Was it the?
Yeah, I
Oh
thought it
yeah,
was the cube.
it was in. I think it was in She-Hulk. I think she
Yeah,
was like that's where Emil Blonsky was for a
yeah,
bit. But it also,
yeah.
I was like, when it was in the desert, I was like, is this the place they were in Thunderbolts where they did that kind of heist? So I thought at first, but yeah,
I don't think so. I
no, it was
can't remember.
all these projects we've not covered, kind of.
Yeah, but yeah, they go there, and I just love the twist when you kind of see this pieces slowly fitting together, and because there's kind of teasers towards it where the kid's asking like, "Oh, can I tell my friends at school?" And he's like, "Oh no, don't do that." And then him showing up at the prison, and then you starting to realize that this is where Trevor is, and the guy getting the phone call saying that he's got loads of money in his account now because obviously his life's gonna be ruined. He's like lost his career being a god, and just the way he kind of embraced him at the end, and they all flew off into the sky. I thought that was such a good moment and such a good jailbreak moment. And they kind of tease that there might be a second season because they have the damage control guy talk about how he's got these ionic powers or whatever, and that could be an asset to them. So I really did appreciate that as well. I don't know if we're going to get a season 2. I hope we do. I'd love to see this sort of thing
Yeah.
again. I kind of hope they don't tie this into the main MCU and have him show up in like Secret Wars or something. Because I think this is such a good like standalone project. I think it's one of those sleeper hits that like a Severance season 1 where, you know, people kind of hear about it. And by Severance season 2, it's like a massive thing and everyone's watching it every week. But yeah, I nearly shed a tear at the end there when he went
Yeah.
back for Trevor and he didn't forget about him. And it was kind of just, what was the movie they watched at one point, the Dustin Hoffman film?
Midnight Cowboy.
Right, yeah. I thought it was that kind of nicely laid the groundwork for it. And it was like, great.
Yeah.
The kind of, brilliant finale, I thought. And
Yeah.
didn't need a post-credit scene, just a nice way to tease things out.
No, I absolutely loved it. I thought the finale was really, really good. I love the fact.
Yeah.
I think it's implied that the guy who works there really hates his job. I think it was
Yeah, it was,
working
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was stressing him out, yeah.
Yeah,
was,
I think they're
like
probably
his health was bad.
Yeah, I think they're like the director of damage control was I think it's implied that they're just trying to lock as many people up as possible to justify their huge ridiculous prison. So I think there's probably quite a few people in there who are not terrorists or evil people. They just have powers which need to be controlled. When they went in there, I thought that you'd maybe see some kind of people that you like from the comics that haven't been in the MCU. No, I thought it was a really good finale. They did do the thing where he wears the suit at the end, and you're just like, yeah, it's that trope where in comic book adaptations they always put the suit on right at the end, like Smallville, where we didn't become Superman until like season 12 or something. But it worked here though. I think it did work here because obviously he's trying to be an actor first, and he's fed into that being a superhero.
Yeah. 100% agree. Yeah, I thought it was just a really poignant way to end the season. And these characters, I mean, if you told me 4 months ago, oh, mate, you're going to fucking love Wonder Man, I would have thought, am I like Disney Plus shows? We kind of know how they go. And it's even at the point now where I can watch the trailer and tell you what episode the stuff's going to happen in. And like the finale is normally at a point where it kind of doesn't rock the boat at all. It doesn't really do anything. But this kind of played into that really well, I think. And the fact that it isn't connected to, I mean, there's MCU references throughout, but it's not, you know, you're not bothered that big things aren't happening. You know, you can happily see them go to a director's house and just have auditions for like half an hour. You're not like, oh, we need a fight scene at this point.
Yeah,
we
big
need
CGI slop with a wrapped his arm.
Yeah, we need a big villain from the comics who's going to come in and shake things up. It's kind of
Yeah.
just like you don't need any of that because you're just watching someone living there, well, trying to do something with their life who's
Yeah.
getting, roadblocks along the way and then them achieving their goals, but then deciding to still go back to their friends. That is such a great message, I think, that you don't see in superhero films that often. And it's kind of like, just find the person that means a lot to you. And even though he betrayed him, he knew the friendship was real there, and this was a guy who hadn't had friends, and they didn't need to do the cliche like him reconnecting with his girlfriend and that, and going on to like join the Avengers at the end or something, or revealing his powers in a big way that kind of like saves the city. It was just about saving his friend, who was the person we cared about in the show, and he could have saved the city or something, but I don't have a connection to the city. I've got a connection to Trevor.
Yeah.
And I just thought it was a fantastic way.
It's nice to have a lower stake sort of thing, which I think really works.
Yeah.
You don't want to have to see a city falling on someone or a big reactor exploding. You can just have
blue beam in the sky is the classic.
Yeah. You could just save your friend. That's fine, I think. And you're right, it is a sleeper hit. It is really surprising because obviously I was watching as it came out, saw everyone on Twitter, and I was just shocked at how many people were like, this is good, that they've actually made something that's really genuinely good, not just like comic booky good sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think it is more than a comic book project. I mean, obviously it has those things in, but you could easily take the powers out of it, I think, for most of it, and it's still going to really work. But obviously, you need to know who the Mandarin is and stuff like that. But yeah, really, really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. I hope they do more stuff like this. I hope they actually start making, like, I would say this is a TV show, whereas in the past I've seen them do basically like 4-hour-long movies that they cut up into episodes. And this just works so well. The performances are great. It's got a great heart to it. It's not over the top. It just does it just sets out and tells its own story that we don't really ever see in this kind of genre. And I know the constant conversation of, is Marvel back? Is Marvel dead?
We're back at meters.
Yeah, it's difficult. I mean, there's always going to be that conversation because they had a couple of duds in their own. It was the same with DC, where DC were like had a low point and then they just kept putting out like quite good stuff. But people were like, "Oh, DC's dead. DC's dead." I really enjoyed it. I'd love to see the Disney Plus. I'd love to see one of these shows a year, and that kind of be what Disney Plus is, and then you get like 2 movies a year maybe. But yeah, fantastic. Really enjoyed it. Cannot rate it highly enough. Well, more highly.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'd score it, because I don't want to be like 10 out of 10 masterpiece.
Yeah, they'll hold you to it.
Yeah, exactly. I'll be getting those tweets in 5 years' time, like, you said Wonder Man was 10 out of 10 masterpiece. But look, I think it's up there as being one of my favorite Disney Plus shows, and it's just enjoyable. You know what I mean? It's just one of those shows that's just enjoyable.
And I'll get a smile on your face.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and you just kind of feel like nice for watching it, I would say. Yeah. I think if you watch this properly, I think you'll have a good time and enjoy it. And I think people across the board will enjoy it, I think.
Yes, I think it's good for people who are, like I said, I would suggest it to people who would not into Marvel or not watching every project or whatever, or obsessed like we are. It's definitely something you can just say like, oh, it's worth watching.
Yeah, definitely. No, it's a really nice project. So yeah, that's how I would sum it up. A nice project.
Yeah.
But thank you for joining me, Matt.
No problem.
You better get back to work. There's 15 minutes left of the working day right now.
Oh no.
You better fucking get back. But yeah, thanks for joining us, everyone. Hopefully you've enjoyed us kind of talking about it. It's just been such a weird time with shows recently at the moment. We had a staff do last Friday, woo-woo, and we worked so hard in December. I've tried to make January as like stressless as possible. It's still been fucking stress on, but yeah, I think in the build up to Wonder Man, I was like, adding 8 episodes to the plate of this is going to be so bad, especially because I don't think it's going to be good. But yeah, I was proven wrong. Really enjoyed it. So we've put out 2 videos on it now, and lots of stuff to say. It was good. So thanks for joining me, Matt, anyway. And
No problem.
thank you for joining me at home. Take care. Peace.
Bye.